What's going on, Omnibuddies? Mitch here, and today we are doing another overview. What are we looking at? We are looking at a book that just recently, in the past few months, came out from Dark Horse Comics. We are looking at this mammoth, behemoth of a book. We're looking at Monster-Sized Hellboy. All right, so first things first, thank you, Dark Horse, for hooking me up with this book. Frickin' love Hellboy. If you guys have not read Hellboy, this is definitely the definitive place to start, because you're gonna get there's tons of different ways of reading Hellboy. You can get the box set, which includes the trade paperback editions of 1 through 4, or you can get the, I believe it's 7 library editions. But those 7 editions, or the 4 trade paperback box set, or this guy, basically all collect nearly the same content. The library editions are in print order, or publication order. The omnibus editions are in chronological order for reading, and this also follows the chronological order for reading, except for it is in mammoth scale, in the same scale actually as the library editions and all that. We'll take a look at that in a little bit, but yeah. So man, is this book huge. I don't have Big Damn Sin City anymore by Dark Horse, but it is slightly thicker than Big Damn Sin City, which used to be probably the biggest book I owned. Now this is, I think, pretty much the biggest book I own, unless you're talking like artist editions, but pound for pound, pretty sure this might be the biggest book. Anyways, you know what? Let's check out the Minola Verse. So like I said, this is the Monster-Sized Hellboy edition. It is the same format size as the library edition books. It is a little not quite as wide page width, but it is just as tall, and it is a thick boy. This is by Mike Mignola and Others, so there are a ton of great creators in here, and this covers basically the first 7 library editions, and if you have seen the trade paperback slipcase edition, those 4 omnibus editions. There's also the just non-slipcase edition with 4 omnibuses, and they are continuing that line too, I believe, so you can grab those and their chronological order. Great way to go. I know a lot of the hardcovers are very hard to find and out of print at this point, so those trade paperbacks are basically the same trim size as the Dark Horse Deluxe Edition hardcovers, so you are not missing out on any format, just those nice hardcover formats. But this story definitely is worth jumping in, no matter the format, no matter how prestige you have, if it's a hardcover, trade paperback again, or a library edition. These books are definitely worth picking up. Hellboy is a demon from hell, and when there is a little bit about the story, when the Nazis during World War II go to open a gate to hell to get some powerful being and get a one-up against their adversaries, they unleash none other than Hellboy as a baby little Hellboy, and basically the BPRD is able to get him and stop the Nazis and raise him as a good guy, fighting the Nazis and fighting monsters and fighting demons. And basically Hellboy is just going about following his orders for a while during and throughout these books, and then at one point he breaks away from the BPRD for a while and does his own thing, and ends up going on all kinds of crazy adventures. The BPRD and his friends do intertwine and come back and forth, and if you do read the other books like BPRD, Hell on Earth, and Plague of Frogs and all that, there is some intertwining of stories, but overall you could just read this book and get a very good idea and a very good, thorough, conclusive story. All the other stuff does is flesh it out and add a lot more, but it is not necessary to read that to partake in this book. Mike Mignola's Hellboy is just one of the most comprehensive, cohesive, beautifully rendered, and really I say cohesive not just in story, but it's also cohesive in its art, and most of the art is done by Mike Mignola, and then it switches a little bit later on to other artists, but a lot of the colors, which brings the whole thing together in that cohesion I was talking about, is by Dave Stewart. And that man does some wonderful colors. Mike does jump in and out of these doing his art. So you do notice a difference, but overall, it is really cohesive in that art take, not just in storyline. If you're looking for a very long, very well told monster story that has a lot of heart and a lot of interest and a lot of mystery in dealing with the occult and poltergeists and monsters and all of that, again, this series, the Minola Verse, is absolutely the series that anyone should be reading. I'll say that this Monster-Sized edition has great paper quality. It has a wonderful sewn binding and a great eye hole. The first signature, the first part of the signature of my book is actually a little bit loose, so I'm going to have to re-glue that. But overall, other than that, that tends to happen with some of these giant books, but not a hard problem to fix with a little PVA neutral glue and a little bit of weight on top of it. It's on the front of my book, so I could probably just easily set the book up, face down, and it's going to be totally fine. So I'm going to re-glue mine a little bit, but it's got a great ribbon in there to keep track of what you've been reading. The page gloss is just perfect, where it's not too shiny, not too matted, and the colors just pop, because in this book, color is very important, not only with Hellboy and his red, but they really do make a good use of color palette in this. It's a lot of thick black lines, a lot of dark ink, but then they add these splashes of colors, and often they're just muted colors, but other times they're very, very colorful and they pop. So these pages are great. You don't see through them. You don't have the problem with the pages being too thin, where you're seeing through them with translucency, or you're worried about tearing the pages. This book is all perfect in how it's bound. I would definitely recommend picking this up. This is the collection of Hellboy that I would recommend to anyone who wants to seriously dive into this story. And as a caveat, I would say that this is missing just a couple, maybe a few of the smaller one-off stories that aren't actually necessary to the whole canon. They are canon, but they aren't fully necessary, that are occasionally captured in the library editions. This book does not capture those, but again, they're few and far between. I want to say there's only 2 or 3 of them that are missing, and they are not necessarily super important to the story. You're not really missing out. They do add a little bit, and they're fun. There's one that's about him as young Hellboy and pancakes and things like that, but it's fun, and it's only 2 pages, and that's missing. But you know what? Not a huge deal to be missing something like that. Definitely, this is the quintessential hardcover collection of Hellboy. All right, so that was a quick look at Mike Mignola's Hellboy, Mike Mignola and Others, because there's a ton of other creators in there that worked on these books and work in the Minola Verse. Like I said, if you are looking to get into Hellboy and have not read any of it, or you don't own any of it, this is definitely a great place to start. I know that currently the book is getting pretty hard to find, so you might want to jump on it sooner rather than later. Dark Horse is known for not reprinting books very often, if at all. But they do keep those library editions evergreen. I think they might reprint these. They've reprinted Big Damn Sin City before, so I think fate will have it in our favor where you'll be able to get a reprint of this book if you're not able to snatch it up at the moment of watching this video. But if you are looking to get into Hellboy, this is definitely a great way to go because it's in chronological order. I originally read Hellboy through the library editions, and then I have all the Dark Horse deluxe editions of BPRD and Witchfinder and Baltimore and Abe Sapien and all of them. Those aren't necessarily included in these. I'm really hoping that they continue this type of a line where they have all of those, like all of Plague of Frogs and all of Hell on Earth and all of Abe Sapien all collected together. Or they just do all of that chronologically. That would be chef's kiss phenomenal. But even if they don't do that, having it all collected that way would be great, because these are very much entangled. If you go on to, I think it's Multiversity Comics, they have a great reading order. I'll even link it in the description of this video, because those guys do some awesome work for reading orders. I'm probably going to do a reading order here soon, and it's going to be pretty much based out of the Multiversity's reading order too. But if you are looking to get into Hellboy, this is definitely the place to start. If you're not looking for such a huge scale, you could get that box set of the trade paperbacks, or if you're looking for those really pristine, really nice library editions, that's a great way to go too. And it's really not that bad of a way just to pile through all 7 of those books in order, or you can jump in and get the BPRD stuff and all of that stuff going on as you're reading through if you want to do that. But yeah, this is probably one of the most cohesive, one of the best well-done universes in comics to date, in my opinion. I guess it's my opinion, but I think it's more factual. This universe is just so cohesive, and it's, aside if you're trying to read it in chronological order and jumping back and forth, as long as you have the order and you have those books and you go through, man, the series is just so good. And even if you do miss some books and you jump back and forth a little bit, it's really not that big of a deal. So definitely don't want to miss out on it. Definitely want to jump on Hellboy. The art in there, the colors, the storytelling, especially in these Hellboy books like this one, they're so like poetic, and they pull from all these different just old stories and old just like what's the word I'm looking for? Just passed down generation to generation. They take like the Baba Yaga and all these like monsters that have been ingrained in our world's cultures throughout like the last centuries, and they just fold it in together and make it all into this cohesive story. It's so good and so well done, and the Hellboy stuff is so poetic. BPRD is really cool because it's like very serialized and very like, well, I mean, I guess not serialized. It's a very ongoing story, but it's like, you know, mystery solving, and, you know, these guys going out and solving these mysteries, fighting these monsters, and going out, you know, as like a kind of cops and robbers type thing, only BPRD and monsters. Anyways, really cool stuff. Really awesome. You could just sit down and read a lot of it just by itself and not be totally lost. But you could jump into Witchfinder or Baltimore or any of those like offshoot books that connect, but you don't need to know all the history. So awesome. Man, now I'm just talking, I'm just gushing about Hellboy and the Minola Verse. Man, love it. Anyways, that's it. I'll let you go. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notification, do all of those things. But like I say, the most important thing to do is comment. Let me know in the comments what your favorite, if you've watched Hellboy, what your favorite Hellboy show, movie is. I know there's a lot of animated Hellboy stuff, and then there's, you know, the Harborough Hellboy that was at 2000, I think I'm saying his name right, the 2019 Hellboy, the Ron Perlman Hellboy, just, you know, just what's your favorite Hellboy series out there? I actually really liked the latest one with Harborough. You know, it had its issues, but man, seeing like Baba Yaga and the chicken leg witches house type thing, oh man, that was so friggin' cool. Anyways, let me know in the comments what your favorite Hellboy stuff is, or if you're looking to get into Hellboy, or if you have any questions, let us know in the comments, and I'm sure the group of everyone watching or commenting can help us all out in answering your questions. All right, I'll let you go. Take care. Stay cool.